Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport again. So I got the axle put in yesterday or last night, and so now I'm putting in. I already put in the passenger side. So on this paper gasket, a mechanic told me one time to take some silicone and dab it on your finger and basically go into apply silicone on both sides. I guess it prevents like dry rotting and it seals better. I don't know if it's right, but I've done it on my on some trailers that we have, and this is probably the third or fourth time I put these gaskets on. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but it just makes sense. And after we put it on with the silicone, we still have not had any leaks. So I don't know if that's true or not, but it works for me, so you don't have to do it. But anyways, it does work, and so far so good. So anyways, so we put that on, and another thing I do is I inspect the bearings, the hub nut, the inside of the housing, and make sure that there's no debris or no chips or anything. I already cleaned the inside. When I cleaned the differential, I sprayed brake cleaner partially into the actual axle shaft itself, or housing, whatever. I don't know the specific names of things, but anyways, just kind of check, make sure you don't have any chips or any excess oil, because if you have excess oil in here, it might go onto your face of your hub here where you want to put your gasket. So be careful putting this on, because if you rip it, you're gonna have to get another one. So don't try to put a ripped gasket on, because it's just gonna leak on you and you're gonna end up doing it again, or you're gonna be constantly dripping oil everywhere you park. So anyways, and then remember on my first video or second, I can't remember which one, but I marked the hub with a red marker, and I also marked the faceplate here with red marker so I could line it up. I don't know if that's a fact or not, if you can find it, but once again, it works for us. Another thing I did before I put this in, I cleaned it with brake cleaner, wiped it all down, get any excess oil off of it, and just spray brake cleaner on the back here where your gasket's gonna meet the face of this right here, and a lot of grease in here. I got to power wash this truck. I had a major leak in my oil pan. I think I told you on the first video or second or whatever, but I got oil underneath the whole undercarriage in this truck, so I got to power wash it today here at the shop. So after you inspect your housing, clean any excess oil or look for chips, put your paper gasket on and put silicone on both sides. Just rub. It doesn't have to be on there thick. Just get it so it's pretty much covers the whole entire gasket, and work it in with your finger. And then I hope this. I guess it doesn't work when you put the marker on there. It obviously must matter how the differential obviously is turned. So I don't know how. think I could turn this, I'm not sure. All right, so what I had to do was I had to take a long cheater bar and move the differential. So obviously you saw how it locked in place with the lining up of the, just turning that drive shaft will line this up. Obviously, make sure you saw I had a little cup here that I put all my bolts in. You don't want to get to the point to start reassembling everything and you got bolts kicked around all over the floor, and it's easy to do, right? I mean, that's what happens when we're in a rush. And what I did was, if I ever had it, like when I first started doing this stuff, I don't mind working on trucks. I'm not like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but if you have any questions before you start something, before you take it apart, what I did and what I currently do is I take a picture of it before I tear it all apart, because then that way, if you have a question of, oh shit, how did these go back together, you can go into your pictures and look at your pictures. So I take pictures throughout the whole process of something, and I'll go back and I'll refer to them. Also, watch a lot of YouTube like you guys are doing right now, right? I mean, that's how I learned a lot of this stuff. I didn't even change my own oil or change a flat tire on my pickup before I got into trucking. I was a general contractor for years, and so I learned so much on doing this stuff. I'll come back and I'll torque this after we're done. I'll show you guys a couple other things. Oh, shoot. And also pay attention to what you're doing. Guess I'm camera shy, I'm fumbling a little bit. I'll come back to that. So I got a couple things to show you guys. So when you guys go to fill up your differential oil, I'm not sure if all trucks are the same, but here's your fill tube right here. There will probably be a plastic looking nut like that, and of course I cleaned it off with brake cleaner and the actual other nuts. I mean, it's good practice. Not as nice of a day here in Burlington, Wisconsin. Today, a little chilly. So anyway, so here's your fill hole. Also down here, you'll see where I removed this nut. The reason why you do that is when you fill this up, I've heard on some that it's 5 gallons of gear oil to put in there. Heard this, I heard that. But if you have any questions, if you can Google it maybe. But this is where once you start filling it in there, and you're gonna need a really super narrow funnel. So once you start filling it up top, then it's gonna be filling up here in the bottom, and right when you see gear oil starting to come out of this plug, stop pouring and put your plug in. All right? That tells you that you have enough gear oil in there. The reason why is because if you look here, this is higher than that. So the oil needs to go into that arm there on your axle to get over to your hubs. So the gear oil needs to come over to here, and it needs to sit in the bottom here, so when your tire rotates, the bearings in there are rotating and it's picking up the oil that's pooled in the bottom of the axle. So do that, and your front one is the same. There's your front one right there on the bottom, right there where my finger is. That's your front differential fill, and then it's got the same thing on the bottom where the hole is. So, and then here's the finished product of the, get this out of here before I forget. There's the finished product all the way down. Wasn't too bad. It was heavy, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. So once again, all I got to do now is once I torque these down, I'll go ahead and throw the wheels back on. Did a PM on this truck last night, so I can pull her out of the shop, and then I can go ahead and get her all power washed up. So thanks again, guys, and if you like, share and like the video or subscribe. I like working on stuff myself, but anyways, God bless y'all. Take care and give us a thumbs up. Ciao.